Hi, I'm Sean, and you're watching Shopworx. Today we're, I guess, going to be filming part 3 of this 6-door build for the old body style Fords. It's going to be a crew cab with the back doors of another crew cab and a Bronco back end for a stretch Centurion or stretch Bronco or old body style excursion, whatever you want to call it. So what it boils down to, I went through and did a whole bunch of math on it, measuring the back doors of the crew cab, adding in the 35.5 to the next set of doors there, and then from that back to the axle. So ends up we got to add in about 6 inches into the frame here. So we're going to end up sectioning it right here and adding in a 6-inch plate there, another piece of frame off a donor truck. A buddy of mine there, throw a thumbs up for Ron there for the parts. So I'm going to end up cutting it here, cutting a chunk out of his frame, putting 2 welds back in here, and then we're going to run a fish plate over top of it here for a little extra strength. Really shouldn't have to, but it is a little bit longer, and well, I do go places sometimes I shouldn't, so you never know. We'll do it, it'll be done, and definitely won't have to worry about it. So the reason I'm going to be cutting it here, I've actually looked at a bunch of other people doing 6-door builds and whatnot, and some guys are extending them at the very back. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but they're adding in the extra length at the very back of the truck over here, and basically moving the axle back on the frame. But I'm not going to be putting a whole lot of lift into this thing, or at least as little as possible. So we're going to end up not having that little bit of clearance in the frame there. I don't want to lose what I have. So I'm not going to be adding on the back, and basically everything from the floorboard mounts there, the driver and passenger's feet back, it's a redesign anyway for body mounts. So that's neither here nor there. But what I'm doing is I'm placing it in here because it's a nice level spot on the frame. It's easy to change. And I'm already ahead of the fuel selector switch and all the other wiring, so it's just everything from there back that I have to rework. And I'm putting in a large 38-gallon fuel tank under here, and it's out of a long box superduty, you know, like 99 through 07. And basically I run out of space. I did this on my crew cab, and it's a little bit of a different setup. So we ended up having to push in a bit, heat it up, push in the tank, and remold it into a different area so it doesn't hit the shock, and it gives me some clearance there, gives me some clearance around the drive shaft yoke and whatnot. So it's going to solve that problem. We're going to move that cross member ahead to fit the tank, so that's going to shove the whole tank up. So it'll use this as the front and that as the rear. And solve quite a few issues here all at once. So I'll be putting a link to the playlist here that say this is part 3. So I'll put a link in here for the whole playlist as we go, and hopefully you guys like what's going on and learning a little bit out of it. I'm not saying I'm a professional here or anything, but you know, that's how I learn how to do stuff. I get on YouTube and have a look. So anywho, if you like it, subscribe, and hang along for the ride.
And John's removing the wiring running to the back here, and the fuel lines, brake line, etc. And everything basically in that whole frame rail there. Getting ready to section the frame. So clean it all out and make it easy to work with and cut, and not have to worry about burning through anything. And we'll figure out where we're adding in all that stuff later on. I went through and repaired all the holes there that weren't factory in the frame. over top of the wheel arch there. It's kind of a weak spot to start with, so I wanted to buff it up, possibly putting airbags on it later on down the road. So just trying to get it as strong as possible, because usually if you put airbags on them and you run them too high or too much of a load, right back in here they'll start cracking. So definitely don't want to have a problem with that. So sort of planning for future. Usually on these I don't like their mounts anyway, and then I put a plate across here with a spacer back through and a bolt, kind of like a BW fifth wheel hitch there, or flip over ball hitch, and mount it so the bracket's up and inside there, and then it takes the actual stress over the whole frame, not just right above. So food for thought.
So while I'm here, I'm going to save a couple items here I may or may not need in the future. I'm just going to chop the exhaust off here and see if we can't save some of that, and then probably go through and take some other clips and fittings and sockets and whatnot off here. I try to save all that stuff. Usually that's the kind of stuff that falls apart on you when you're trying to reassemble things or tear them apart in the first place. So take what I can and get rid of the rest. Basically what I'm going to be splicing back in there. Clean her up and So on this one here, I'm going to cut it with a zip cut and get her fairly straight across both there. And come in with the flaws and then torch the rest on either side. I've got these screw jacks on there. I don't know how people live without those things. I love them for all kinds of stuff like this. They're easy to adjust and you don't get too much or too little that way. Makes lining stuff up nice at the end when you can lift one side or one corner. And the back there, I learned a little something off that last frame there. So we put a jack under the receiver on this one. So shouldn't go over backwards, hopefully. So here we go. Ready? Try that again. Ready? Still out heavy, eh? Oh, yeah. Alright, that's a little less to clean up. We'll end up fudging it around here a bit and clean it up, get it ready for the plates. Tack it again. Like most things, the prep work that goes into it is pretty much guarantees what you're going to get out of it at the end. And the longer I use a grinder prepping it, the less I got to use a grinder finishing it and fixing stuff. So we'll make sure we got it beveled both sides, get lots of good penetration in it, clean it up, and then we'll take care to measure, remeasure, level, clamp, everything we need to do after. So, like I say, it's all in the small details on frames.
whole bunch of grinding and finagling and clamping and a little bit of tacking. We're looking pretty good here. Everything's all squared back up and cross-checked and checked between cross members. Got this side tacked up here. I had to steal some more clamps for the other side there. So I'm gonna get the hot glue gun going here and stick her together. And weld the inside, weld the outside, grind the outside down, and get ready to do some fish plates on it. So it's close as I can get using the frame material there off the other truck. So we'll at least be using the right stuff. I had that little dump truck of mine there in one of them videos, and when I got it, it was a rollback truck, and they did a frame extension on it. Just so I ended up cutting out exactly what they extended on there, which was a good thing, because what they had looked like just steel, and it was bent with a brake, and right where the bend was, it was cracking along right front to back on it. So at least if I'm using the frame here, it's proper stuff that was there. Got the bends in it already, so should be good to go.
Long clamp. Sure. Good to me. Okay. You got a small chainsaw file floating around there, John? Very small one? Yeah, I didn't see one when I was digging around there. Thought maybe we'd file out these bigger holes here if I didn't really want to drill them.
Alright, so I got the 6-inch extensions in there welded up, and I get ready to fish plate those things. Got them ground down, them holes filled, get some fish plates figured out, and get them on there. So I'm using 3/16 flat bar by 6 here, and basically pretty easy to design a fish plate. I'm gonna keep all my corners rounded, and back in these ones here I'm gonna round them over as well, and guess that just keeps the stress from not having anywhere to physically run with the rounded corners. And probably gonna punch a bunch of holes in here still, and be able to plug weld them out on the frame so there's no deflection in the plate itself. So I'll get them cut out and see if we can't come up with some kind of finished project here for the fish plating before I move on to doing the body mounts.
Fish plates cut out, clamped on to where I want to put them. I'm gonna weld the whole thing in completely. Don't want to get any water and salt back in behind it. That's why I filled all them other little holes back in here, there, and everywhere. And basically all these here plug welds are for are just to keep the plate from bowing and twisting and whatnot there. Just gives it a little bit more reinforcement. Get those put on, and the frame extension will be complete, other than the fuel line, brake line, and all that stuff there. Probably gonna run just braided hose for the diesel there, some diesel rated hose. Brake line, I'm probably gonna get a roll of stainless and do a complete run front to back, and I don't have to worry about rust or any other issues with it. And basically splice in whatever I need for the wire. 6 inches, Not a whole lot, just the tail lights, the marker lights, backup light, license plate light, fuel sender for the back, and that's about it. Get these welded on.
Well, we got the fish plates on both sides. Gonna end up building those body mounts next, and hopefully I'll be done with welding for a little bit.
Okay, so what we have here is we're making, I guess, big fender washers basically, and using that and pipe. I'm going to be building some body mounts, and I'm using a bunch of, oh, what are they? All thread joiners, I guess. Here's my, just using all thread joiners here. And I wanted the extra length on here instead of a nut where it only is about half of what I have here. I'm getting these, cutting them in half. So what I'll be doing is welding them into the top there just like that. And weld them in either side and using bolts. Built some body mounts before. I'm not a big body lift kind of guy here, but I built some before for another project of mine. It was the wheeler. They were the big 45-inch ag tires, and I just used longer bolts. Still had, you know, washer top, washer bottom. I used longer bolts in there. So with that rubber mount, everything would sit in flex. You weren't working just a little piece here and a little piece here. You're flexing that whole bolt. And that 460 in there and the gears, and if you dump the clutch in second or third there, that thing would just flex that whole frame. You hear clunk, clunk, clunk every time you shift in there. And that was the body mount walking around. So this one here, I'm going to go a little different. Bolt top, bolt bottom through here. for the body lift, and figuring that should keep it a lot. This will be rigid with the cab then and still flex on the rubber down on the factory Ford mounts there. Get these things welded up.
Alright, with that frame stretched out, I figured I'd pop that 38-gallon fuel tank in here and see how it fits and where I got to move that other cross member to, now that I have options and space. So I got the front strap here, about where it should be. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of space down here. I guess, enough for U-joints and whatnot, but not a ton of space. And you got to remember, we added 6 inches to the frame, and this is where it sits now, 6 inches further forward than I would have had before. Like I say, last time I had to cave this corner of the tank in, missed the yoke there and U-joints for travel, and same with the shock here, because that's, tank would have been back to about here. So lay it out and move it forward, and I'll get this thing set up the way I want her to.
Alright, so what I've done here, I've ground out all these rivets, 3 on the top on each side and 2 on the bottom. And I'm going to move it forward, and it's going to work out pretty much, it looks like, exactly moving back to the front here. So I'm going to try just popping a couple bolts in, just to hold it, and test fit the tank and see how that goes here. The reason I didn't film any of that, there's only so much grinding that, a guy can watch. I'm sure I'd have seeded that already. So you can see how this fits in here and see what shimming we're going to have to do to monkey around. These bolts are just a tad tight for 7/16 here too. Oh, yeah, you just have to drill them out. Just about there, but not quite. Good enough temporarily there to test fit it. I'm going to have to pull my lovely camera mount off there. It's on the jack handle with my jack there. So. Take a paint marker here and we're just going to mark in where we've got to move this indent a little bit on here. Make this thing fit. Heat that up after, push it in, and move it all forward. And we should be able to, you know, much we're clearing everything by here. This will be a drastic improvement over my crew cab, so do that and mark the rest of this out for drilling. Just kind of do a little bit of a walk around here. You can see how it fits a little better now. We're definitely away from the yoke, away from the shock mount. Got clearance. Okay, I'm going to have to push that in a little bit here still. We'll probably come back into the frame a tad bit here too. Oh no, we're touching here. I'll kick that in a little bit too and we'll gain some more that way. Make some tank bands up for it and get her supported. It'd be kind of cool to do that before we get everything else going here. That's more or less how it's going to sit. I'm going to figure the rest of this bolt hole patterns out here, get them all drilled, and have a look back on what we got here. So see if we can't buff it up. And I ordered some polyethylene there for patching the tank. Pick and pull likes to punch holes in the bottom of them all, so the only way I could get one from is buying her the way she is. Fix that up here too. And I'm going to snip the harpoon there so I get a good fill on the tank after too, and put her in. Well, John went and machined me up some bushings here to fit the energy suspension polyurethane for what I want to do, and made it so it sits back in about 1/4 inch on either side here, and it shims it for the bolt, so you still have the play in the polyurethane, and it bottoms out right here through the bottom, top, goes in, that'll go through, and then we'll bolt it right onto the mount up there. So, and that should keep it from walking around in the rubber, having a lot of unnecessary play. We can get that bolted on up here, and I'll go do the other side. Large fender washer. Painting the threads off to suck that down a little later, but that's basically how I've been lifting them up here. I got the front ones done earlier there. Have to be snugged down. I'm just going to do them so they're loose and can adjust it to the body a little bit. Here's the front ones. They're just finger tight basically. So, well, picked up some grade 8 hardware today, so I'll switch these out now. Grade 5 to grade 8. These other ones here just to hold it while we're aligning and marking. Nice tight hole.
Well, it appears that winter's here, came overnight, so not sure how I'm going to be painting this yet. Probably have to build an outdoor paint booth and heat it somehow. So, unless this buggers off in the next couple weeks, but I doubt it. We're in for a cold spell now.
Well, we're starting to sort of see what it's going to look like.
Well, we got it sitting on the front two mounts. I got to do some cleanup on the inside there and pull the interior out before I can actually bolt it down. But, hang on a sec, John. We got a setting on some 4x4 blocks on the back for now. It's not quite where it needs to be, but we can level that out once I can work on it inside. So let's roll her in.
Hopefully not rolling all the way out next time. Yeah, it's close there.
Well, looks like this one's another one of them mousy specials. On the plus thing, cleaning it out, all these mud flaps are under the rear seat there, so that was kind of cool.
Well, we started ripping some of the interior out of here, the carpet, the seats, rear window, headliner, all the, real important stuff to get out. The only real nasty rust in here is down at the rear doors, really. Everything else in here looks pretty darn good for, what it is. So I'm going to try lining up the body mounts down here with these bolts. Copper coat on them. One for this side, one for the other. Get them started, and then we can come back to it tomorrow. At least I know it won't fall over anywhere here. Get close to lined up. Ooh. You're not going to tighten them down the whole way there. I just want to make sure it's not going to fall over here if somebody climbs on it or whatever. And line it all up and whatnot. No problem with this one. And that's why I left the other one loose, is I can pry it around. Still gonna have to rip the dash out of here and everything here. There, got two started. Definitely not going to go anywhere now. Well, I think this is where I'm going to end video number 3 here. We've got the cab set down on top here. And got it temporarily bolted to the body mounts on the front there. The body lift, I guess. The back's still sitting 1.5 inches too high here. I just have it sitting on some 4x4 blocks, so I'm going to have to take that down a little later on, level it all out, and figure out where we're going to be cutting it and cutting the next one. And I want to make sure everything's all leveled out and plain here first before we get going too crazy with it. So it's on, it's sitting there. It's you know, haven't done anything with the suspension yet. Haven't done anything with the larger tires and whatnot. So if this thing's sitting too high after, because I'm just going by what somebody else was running here for body lift, and basically that's just to clear the humps in the floor. I don't know if you saw that at all with the cab in there or not, but that's the whole idea with that, is we get it up so the floor is all the same level and we're not cutting and changing and shifting stuff for seats and whatnot. So that's going to be, if there's an inch I can take out later, I'll take it out, drop it down. Like I say, I'm not big on body lifts, but still going to be doing the suspension on it and cleaning up, getting ready for the body work. So that'll probably be part 4 there, is starting to hack into the cabs. So thanks for watching. You know, give me the thumbs up if you want to see more of this stuff. Like and subscribe, and we'll keep rolling out more videos in this series here.